The storm packed a big punch when it washed ashore. It was a hurricane with 125-mile-per-hour winds, and Isidore dumped inches of rain on the Yucatan Peninsula, forcing hundreds of thousands into shelters to ride out the storm. As we take a look across the Atlantic Basin, we are dealing with a very busy Atlantic Basin here. We have several features to point out to you. One, of course, being Isidore, which is at the far end of your screen. We'll get to that in more detail in a moment. We also have Tropical Storm Kyle, Tropical Depression number 13 headed towards the Lesser Antilles, and then another feature coming off of the coast of Africa. Let's get right to it. Tropical Storm Isidore. This is the latest information, just came out from the National Hurricane Center as of 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. 55 miles to the south of Mérida, Mexico. And the winds are at 65 miles an hour. They have been downgraded just a little bit more. They were at 70. We're down to 65. And now it's actually drifting eastward. Estimated pressures at 28.35 inches. A couple of interesting features here to look at when you look at Tropical Storm Isidore. It's still over the Yucatan, still over land. The longer it stays over land, it'll continue to weaken. One other thing that the Hurricane Center has pointed out is that the winds, the inner core winds of the storm system have actually collapsed, and a lot of the convection is now pulling away from the center of circulation. It is forecast to move back out over water. Once it does that, it's going to take it a little bit more time because that inner core winds have collapsed. It's going to take it a little bit more time to reorganize, but still we're expecting it to eventually move its way back out over the Gulf of Mexico. We're still seeing some bands of rain from Isidore out over portions of western Cuba, where they did see very heavy rain, over a foot of rain. You can see even a couple of those bands even skimming across parts of northern Florida. All of the hurricane warnings that were previously in effect across the Yucatan have now been dropped, so that's some good news, but we still do have tropical storm warnings for much of the Yucatan here, and it does extend into the Bay of Campeche. The latest visible satellite picture still showing that we do have a very good circulation over the Yucatan, and we still have a core of a center of circulation. You can still see the eye, and it's forecast, like I said, to work its way back into the Gulf of Mexico within the next 24 hours. However, one thing that we're going to see along the coastal areas of the southeastern U.S. is that we do have coastal flood watches here because of the potential for high surf and also rip currents, so definitely not a great day to be out along the beaches. Could be very rough seas. Here's a look at the official projected path, taking it out over the water and eventually making it turn towards the north. Now, the jury's still out on where the storm system is going to go. Later in the week, of course, this could change a little bit depending on exactly where Isidore goes. But folks here along the Texas Gulf Coast towards Louisiana and even the Florida Panhandle need to stay abreast of the situation over the next couple of days. Tropical Storm Kyle, not really going to affect anyone with any land. It's positioned at 870 miles to the east of Bermuda. Doesn't look very impressive right now on the satellite picture. But for the Lesser Antilles, you're dealing with Tropical Depression number 13. Winds at 35 miles an hour, but within the last hour there has been a report out of Barbados for winds at 55 miles an hour. It's moving pretty quickly to the west at 20, and it is forecast to strengthen. Here's the latest look, and it's going to bring in some heavy downpours here into the Lesser Antilles for today, and then continue on its westward track over the next 24 hours. We do have tropical storm advisories in effect here along the Windward Islands, including Barbados, where that gust of 55 miles an hour was already recorded, and those tropical storm watches remain in effect. And here's the look at the projected path over the next couple of days. Definitely another entity that we will continue to monitor in the tropics. Now to look at what's going on across the lower 48. Here's Bob.
Already being felt. Let's look at your tropical update. Well, tree branches fill roadways in portions of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, courtesy of Tropical Storm Isidore. Power is out in many places, and high water fills homes and buildings. More rain falls as Isidore heads back toward the Gulf of Mexico. Well, in this country, Isidore is already having an impact. Surf is up in Galveston, and that brought surfers out to ride the high waves. but that could be a very dangerous proposition for you as well. This huge circulation that circumferences around the center circulation of Isidore is affecting the Gulf Coast, both with high surf, windy conditions, and coastal flood advisories have been issued in many areas. Isidore now on the intermediate advisory with the National Hurricane Center is right at the coast and just moving off the coast. 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time positions this system just to about 50 miles north-northwest of Mérida, Mexico. And its winds still 50 miles per hour, forecast to strengthen, moving northwest at 9, barometric pressure up to 987 millibars, but that should also probably come down in the next 24 hours as the system strengthens. It'll be headed north, looks like the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi right now. Thursday morning, we could be watching the center of circulation just south of the coast. Now, well in advance of that center of circulation, the impact will be felt in the way of heavy rain and increasing winds. So coastal flood advisories have been issued, and that includes just to the west of Destin, Florida, westward. Now, also, you want to keep in mind that we're going to get some heavy rain here, too, and National Hurricane Center says that we might they may post a hurricane watch before the end of the day along the Gulf Coast. All interests along the northern Gulf Coast need to be aware of this situation and stay advised of what the changes are. We'll help you out here at the Weather Channel right through the period. Now, from Veracruz, Mexico to Cabo Catoches, we still have tropical storm warnings in effect. Now, we also have two other systems in the Atlantic. Another one is Kyle, another one is Lily. Lily has moved through the Leeward Islands and continues to move to the northwest. Now, the center of circulation is well to the west of all of this convection, so we're still getting very squally weather and heavy rains over the islands right now, and it's packing winds at 60 miles per hour, and it's moving very rapidly to the west at 20. That could